Hello people, so today we are going to discuss the landmark Supreme Court case of 1950, that is GOPALAN versus State of Madras. 1950s, this is the time where our judiciary started functioning properly in a very streamlined manner after independence, and this was one of the initial cases which was taken up by the judiciary. So, in this case, the petitioner was GOPALAN and he was a communist leader. At that point of time in our country, communism was not that well appreciated by the contemporary government. So he was put to jail in 1947 and then he was released in the year 1950. But again in 1950, he was detained under the Preventive Detention Act of 1950. In this act, an action can be taken beforehand to prevent some possible crime. Thus, preventive detention is an action which can be taken on the suspicion that a person can commit a wrong or some crime. The petitioner approached the Supreme Court under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution and applied for the infringement of his fundamental rights on the grounds that this act contravened the provisions of the Article 13, Article 19, Article 21 and Article 22 of our Constitution. So, the question of law that emerged was that the Preventive Detention Act of 1950 actually violates the fundamental rights given to us by our Constitution, and is it void? Well, in this case, the Supreme Court upheld the validity of the preventive detention and said that the Preventive Detention Act of 1950 do not abridge the right given to us under Article 19, that is, the right to freedom. But in this case, the Supreme Court gave a very narrow interpretation of Article 21. And one thing which the Supreme Court did was that it declared the Section 14 of the Preventive Detention Act ultra vires. The Section 14 of the Act back then said that the government need not to disclose the grounds of detention to the person who is detained. But the Supreme Court said that this is an ultra vires provision and therefore it was removed. So we can say that this case is a very apt example of procedure established by law. In conclusion, the Supreme Court said that a law that affected life and personal liberty of people could not be declared unconstitutional only on the grounds that it did not follow due process of law or lacked the principle of natural justice. Thus, it meant that Article 21 provides no protection against complete legislative action.